Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another fascinating guest. On this show, we interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, and artists to find out their path to success, how they're able to overcome challenges, adversity, and of course, their keys to success. And today's guest is somebody who's been making a huge impact all over the world. He's been helping individuals, businesses, and companies grow by building scalable systems that increase their peace, performance, and profitability with his 5 recipes. He's been working with restaurants, startups, Fortune 500 companies, really start to grow and scale and become more and more successful. He is also the host of the Momentum Multipliers podcast. So please welcome fractional COO, trainer, and author, CEO of MDM, Momentum Driving Machines, Mr. Ernesto Mandowsky.
Thank you so much, Fong. What a high energy intro.
Thank you very much for being here. Always a joy being able to chat with people who have high energy like yourself and also been helping lots of people grow their businesses, scale their businesses, and achieve more and more success. But before you get to where you are today, you went through a lot of different changes, you went through a lot of growth, and people are always asking the question, how did you get to where you are? How do you become this incredible person helping people, impacting the world? So what is your journey? What does your path look like?
Yeah, well, I'll try to condense the 15-year timeline into a couple minutes, but I once had a dream that seemed crazy to many people. I wanted to get into restaurants and restaurant technology and systems engineering. And everywhere I turned, people said I was crazy. My parents said restaurants fail. My college engineering professors said we only work with big companies. And the restaurants that I worked at said we don't understand technology. So it's kind of like, you feel this confusion in your teens and 20s, that, like you have this vision and people keep telling you like, no, or I don't get it. I don't get it. And I think that happens with every entrepreneur, every builder. They have this crazy idea. Everyone tells them they're crazy, but they go for it anyways. And so I studied engineering. I worked at Deloitte. I started baking bread in my apartment, which led to my entry into the restaurant world. Had lots of experience helping different restaurant groups and tech startups kind of connect their different systems, the different software in their business, so it could be more effective and kind of understand what was happening. And that led me to writing a book about how we are all just sharing our unique gifts with the world, inspired by bees.
Mhm.
So in COVID, right before COVID started, I launched this book with the world and also started a company which its sole mission was to help other people, other entrepreneurs kind of integrate their technology, integrate their workflow so that they could more effectively share that special gift with the world. And that's what I've been up to over the last couple of years with MDM.
That is awesome. Now, I'm curious, what was that crazy idea that you were telling everybody that nobody thought was going to work?
Well, just that concept of, hey, I want to do systems engineering inside of restaurants, and I want to like have that job. Because I mean, at the time I wasn't thinking about entrepreneurship, but I wanted to create an opportunity for myself. And everyone just said like, I don't understand, or go be, either it was restaurants fail, or go be a server, or we don't work with restaurants, or we don't do technology, we're pen and paper.
Hmm.
It was always some form of rejection.
So how did you overcome all those rejections? Like what was going in your mind? Because everybody has a breaking point. Eventually you go, oh, maybe everybody's right. Maybe I am wasting my time. But what was it in you that kept you going? And why were you so confident that what you had was going to work?
Well, there are two like guiding people in my life that inspired me. One, my grandfather, who he fled World War II. He went to Peru and he had this passion for boats and engines, and he like wanted to fix engines, and he like started a boating company in Peru, and he was fixing fishing boats. And then he just had this journey that just had the tenacity to keep going was a big inspiration. And then my uncle, who worked in the worlds of art, but also pastry and food. And he would create these experiences that were just like this amazing combination where people were just like enjoying it. They'd never seen this before, but people were just genuinely excited in those events. And so I said, no, like, between the tenacity and the creativity, like there has to be something here. And so I kept pushing the envelope. Eventually, I took a concept from a course that I took in college around database programming. I went to a nightclub in New York City and said, hey, like, let me build you a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool. And it was awesome. Or I mean, I felt freaking awesome doing it. And they hired me. So it was like, all right, cool, there's a fit, you know? And so it's like these small signals that you get to look for.
Mhm. Lots of people out there have ideas, they're creative, but it's breaking into a business or getting noticed by somebody that's very, very difficult. Having somebody be inspired by what you have is also very, very difficult to get in as well. And lots of people are so dejected because of that, that they end up doing what they were doing before and they give up on that dream. For you, how did you break in? Like you said you went to a club and you were able to kind of create something for them. How did you convince that those first few companies or first few people to get you on board to hire you and then showcase that you do have a proven concept that actually works?
Yeah. Do you know the meme? It's like a picture of a guy like looking for diamonds underground.
Mhm.
And it's there's like there's two types. There's the guy who's like bearing and he still has like a ways to go, but the diamonds are there. And then there's the guy who's turning away, like back to the entrance, and he's literally so close. And I think like so many people, they're that bottom person where they're like just on the on the cusp of like finding their diamond, but they let the ego or they let other people's perceptions influence their path. And I say these one-liners, oh, and then I went to the nightclub and then and they let me in, and like, no, it's never like, oh, I knocked on the first door and I was let in. Like when I was working at Deloitte, I had to literally every single week like email the 15 partners inside of the hospitality group and say, hey, like, I'm Ernesto. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Oh, there's no need. Okay, what do you need the next week? Okay, what do you need? Just literally just fucking pounding the pavement every week until literally 18 months into my career at Deloitte, where I finally got the opportunity to work with a cruise company. I mean, it's not an overnight success. You literally have to just keep going. Almost like you have to be delusional about the diamonds being there. You have to like, you don't even know if they exist, but you have to just be delusional that they do exist. That's the only way you're gonna like break through your own paradigm.
Exactly. Now, you worked with some of the biggest companies out there. You worked in so many different types of industries, and the common thing for a lot of people who are already, for a lot of businesses who are up and running, who are successful in their own right, they think that, hey, if it's not broken, why fix it? They don't know what they need. So when somebody like you come in and go, hey, if you tweak this, this is going to make it a whole lot better. If you change this, it's going to make it so much more successful. Have you found it difficult for you to implement things or convince companies to implement certain ideas of yours that you know for a fact will work?
Yeah, no one likes to change, but I think that's why you have to invite people to create their own vision. I mean, if I say, hey, Fong, like you need to implement a CRM and implement this and like learn Notion, and you don't care about that. You don't care about any of that. But what you do care about is your vision and like how much money you want your business to be making or how much money you want to provide for your family or the impact. So even before mentioning any sort of initiative or recommendation, I have every client start with the growth scorecard, which breaks down like, okay, I want my business to be making $3 million a year. And then we break it down across these 6 numbers so that the person understands, okay, this is what the business has to look like. And you mentioned the 5 recipes. We then take the 5 recipes and implement them to get the results of the scorecard.
Mm-hmm. Well, you dropped it. So what are the 5 recipes?
So the 5 recipes, it starts with your transformation. So earlier I said I wrote this book that helps you identify like what is that special thing that you give to the world. That is the transformation that you deliver. You deliver it sometimes through a product, through a service, through an event, through an experience. And that is the foundation of every business. It's the core product being offered, core offer. The second one is connection, which once you have mastery over your product, you now can you now want to tell everyone about it. You want to now tell all of your clients, all of your partners, all of the podcast hosts that you've interviewed with. Like you want to tell them about this amazing transformation to then drive referrals to your business. Most people kind of skip the relationship mastery part and they're just like, oh, I'm going to make a ton of reels. It's like, dude, you have 150 relationships right now in your world that you could like tap into to drive business much faster than creating reels or creating newsletters or creating content. I mean, people, our generation, I think, we're like afraid of talking to people. So that's why connection is number 2. The third recipe is communication, which is marketing. After you've tapped out your ecosystem, you have mastery over everyone that you have to now meet new people, new audiences. And so you communicate through Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever social media platform, paid ads, just to get the word out to new audiences. And these 3 recipes are very familiar conceptually to every entrepreneur. They know they are delivering something, they're selling something, and they're marketing something. And most on like 90% of businesses never get to recipe 4 and 5. Recipe 4 being organization. Recipe 5 being actualization. Number 4 is all about creating the machine, building the systems, setting the goals, setting the processes, setting up the technology. And it's all like the structural, like big business type of things. But recipe 5 is around how do you humanize it? How do you bring the human side through culture and your core values? And how do you make it personal? And how do you actually empower the team that you hire to run the machine and grow the organization?
Mhm. Fascinating stuff, and those are 5 very, very important things. And the thing is, you also talk about how you implement those 5 recipes to help businesses and companies increase and grow their peace, performance, and profitability. Now, performance and profitability is something I hear all the time, but peace is something I found, hey, that's a little bit new. How did you, or why did you put in peace in there as well?
Because I'm a hippie. No, I mean, yes, I'm definitely a hippie at heart. I think, if think about your day to day. If you open up your inbox first thing in the morning and you have 7,000 unread messages, how are you gonna feel?
And delete.
Uh, yeah, maybe delete because like you want to feel clear-headed to continue on with your day. The reality is most people, they kind of like leave it there, like ignore it. But what if there's $1,000 check in that, or a gift card or something in that email? Like you then open up the project management tool, 200 tasks for today. There isn't peace in your mind. It's not there. Like
Mhm.
you might choose to ignore the emails or ignore the tab. Like you have a lot of stress and anxiety that you're choosing not to deal with what actually you have to deal with. And so it starts with like the first payoff is peace. Because if you're not feeling peaceful, you can't be present at work. You can't be present with your family. You can't actually rise to the challenge of, I'm going to make 100 prospecting calls today. You can't because like you're anxious about all the emails that you have and the clients that are on fire. I mean, there's client fires everywhere. So, not having the peace is actually the number one thing in the way of growing your business.
And I think that comes with a mindset as well. How do you approach things? What do you feed your mind all the time? The negativity, how do you deal with that? How do you stay positive and be peaceful? How are some of the things that you do on your daily routine that keeps you peaceful?
Well, one is I have internet like blocked off from sorry, not internet. Like I can't open my email client from 9 to 5 p.m. Like I literally cannot open it. Why? Because I need to focus on actually doing work,
Mhm,
not responding.
I see.
Um, that's just one example. Another example is when I plan my weeks, I look at like what the next 7 days of tasks are, and I make sure that there are never more than 5 per
Mhm.
day. And so by only having those 5, I absolutely ensure they get done.
Mhm.
I mean, there's plenty of other examples. I unsubscribe from newsletters every week. I'm unsubscribing from more and more newsletters because they're not relevant. And it's people say like death by 1,000 cuts. This is like you're recovering through 1,000 small like tweaks that you're implementing.
Mhm.
And so those are just three examples.
Awesome. Like we mentioned before, you work in so many different industries and with so many different companies worldwide. What are most common things that you have seen that these companies are either missing or doing wrong?
They're trying to chase too many goals. They don't realize that the 7 goal priorities that they're chasing actually amount to 30 different projects, which amount to 700 different tasks. And then they're trying to execute on that through Slack, through WhatsApp, through email, through Asana, through Trello. It's just it's all a big dumpster fire, which goes back to what I said earlier. Like you cannot have peace when you're trying to your task switching all day, every day, and you're not even sure if you're gonna achieve the goal or not.
Mhm. So for somebody like yourself who helps people grow their businesses, do you like working in a business where they already have all this stuff and as you were mentioned, they're not focused, they have too many goals, they're chasing so many things, but they have so much stuff implemented. And you could go in there and just help them kind of reduce, remove, and get them focused. Or a company that's a blank slate. They goes, oh,
Ground up, ground up, ground up. My I prefer to work with someone who's at 250K to 600K revenue than a $3 million business.
right.
Because in the $3 million business, you have to change all these mindsets that got them there, like got them to the $3 million business. So if you're going to come in and say, "Hey, I'm going to change A, B, and C," people are a lot more resistant to that.
Right. So then when somebody comes to you and go, hey, let's get started, what are some of the first few steps that you actually take them through to get started?
Well, the first thing is we get the business owner's brain down on paper, and not a paper, but I use a software called Notion,
Mhm.
popular collaboration tool that's out there. We get the priorities, we get all the people, all the relationships, all the projects, all the promotions, all the playbooks, and all of the planning cycles documented and systematized inside of Notion so that we can bring in an operator who will take care of the administrative aspects of this 6P system, while I then work with the owner more in a consultative, strategic function of helping them like actually make some of these tweaks inside of their business.
Cool. Very, very, very important to have that stuff on paper or on screen because a lot of people just go, "Oh, it's in my mind," or "Oh, yeah, it's in the back of my mind. I'll get to it," and they tend to forget about it when it's right there in front of them. It's really hard to one forget about it and two ignore it. So it's
Right.
very, very great way of getting people to focus on what they really, really need. Now, you mentioned before you wrote a book, and you also mentioned that it has to do with bees and business. So how does that concept or that idea come about, and how did you relate the two?
Well, the first book I wrote was called Newbie, and spelled Newbee. And it was this idea that us as millennials, Gen Y, we are people who like to do a lot of different things, especially like Gen Z. They love doing all these different concepts. And I think our older generations, our parents, bosses, they're telling us like, no, you have to focus, you have to do this one thing, you have to do this one thing. And I said, no, like I can do it all. I can take all these different aspects and then just weave it into this one thing. So for me, it was restaurants, it was tech, it was systems engineering, and I was weaving it in through this honey, this job that I continue to offer to the world. That story or that concept became the basis for a transformation inside of a business, which was the first recipe. And so businesses today, when you start a new company, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're taking these market insights, technological trends, and cultural behaviors, and they're creating these transformations that they can then offer to the market, much in the same way that I was doing through the first 10 years of my life. And so bees are doing this every day. They're going to different flowers, they're extracting nectar, they're transferring pollen from flower to flower, just like people do from organization to organization. We're helping each other grow. Then the bees go back to the hive and they create honey. And it's through the cultivation of honey that bees survive, and they then offer that, well, we harvest the honey, but it's kind of the same thing. Companies are producing this honey that the market is harvesting from so that the market can grow and expand. So that's kind of a bit of the parallel connections between bees, business, my story, and kind of how it relates to our work today.
Very, very cool. Bees are absolutely fascinating. I find that when you start doing deep dive into bees, there's so much stuff that you can learn and be able to come up as a story to tell others at some random event. I think it's very incredible to really dig into how bees work. Um, for someone like yourself to be as successful as you are, I'm sure you've gone through some trials and tribulations, some failures, some mishaps. Is there a case study or a situation that you could share that was one of the biggest learning moments for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest struggles my clients have actually is instead of offering like one or two specialized products, they offer like eight different products, eight different services. And it actually prevents them from scaling because they're just constantly changing the needs for clients. So how that relates to me, in my second year of business, I was offering seven different products to different types of clients, and I was just burnt out and exhausted, unsure of how I was going to continue after my second year. Luckily, I am part of a mastermind to kind of share these concerns with peers. And I was in my third year, I was able to pivot and I was able to kind of centralize and consolidate how I was delivering my services to the world. And so I went from eight products to two. And so just having those two, now like I myself took my own medicine and I'm now teaching others to like, hey, you got to just focus on two products.
I like how you mentioned mastermind. I know lots of people out there think they could do everything on their own. They don't need the outside people telling them what to do and all that kind of stuff. But I find that masterminds are something that's so incredible, that allows you to share your ups and downs and have people's insights. And some of those insights maybe common sense. However, it was that right time, that right moment, that right person who said it to you in the right way that you go, ah, it dawns on me that this is what I should do. Do you have an example of that? That all of a sudden somebody says something to you during this mastermind group where you go, I knew that, but thank you because the way you said it completely changed my way of interpreting it.
Yeah, I mean, no one has told me this specific thing before, but it is something that I had maybe thought I knew. The first 3.5 years of my business, the company was called CPD Advisors, actually. And CPD standing for cross-pollination design, back to the bees and all that woo-woo magic stuff. And earlier this year, I was at one of these events at one of these mastermind retreats, and I turned over to a moderator and I was like having a meltdown. was like, Amy, I don't know what the hell is CPD. No one understands it. It's just not working. It's not clear. I'm just not feeling the momentum anymore. And she like pulls me out of the room. And earlier, she asked me a question, which kind of changed everything for me. 6 months prior to that mastermind event, I hosted a workshop, an annual planning workshop called the $1 Million Machine Annual Planning Workshop. And I had 150 people attend, and it was just an amazing energy. And so the question that Amy asked me that day in April, she said, how do you want to be introduced on a podcast? Hello, everyone. Meet Ernesto, the creator of CPD Advisors. Or hello, everyone. Meet Ernesto, the creator of the $1 Million Machine. And I was like, oh, wow, that's my name. And that point in April, like everything changed, I rebranded overnight, changed all of my websites, changed everything. You're now kind of seeing like, okay, 7 months later is the result of that one question.
Mm.
But it just goes to show you that like these people who like don't even know you all that well can ask you such a simple question and change everything. That's why it's so important to meet and be in community with other entrepreneurs.
So true. And yeah, the power of masterminds are amazing. And sometimes that one question changes your life. And for you, it did. And for me, there was a lot of those type of examples too, where they go, well, why don't you just try this? Or why don't you just think of it a bit about it this way? And it completely reframes everything in our minds. You're a person who speaks a lot on stages. Was speaking something that you've always wanted to do?
Not always, but through being part of this personal brand mastermind, I've just like learned the power of speaking. I mean, speaking is basically having a sales conversation or a conversation with 100+ people at a time. You're maybe not selling a product, but you're selling an idea and like enrolling people into a new paradigm. I mean, right now you and I are in a sales conversation with the world around why peak performance is important. And so when I discovered how powerful speaking could be, it just like had me reframe everything
Mhm.
around how I thought about it.
Right. Now, there's a lot of people out there who goes, "Well, I don't want to speak. It's the scariest thing in the world." What type of advice would you have for people who just can't overcome that fear of speaking?
Just fucking do it. And you're gonna suck. I did a podcast. How many episodes are you in right now?
I'm at 240, 250.
240. Okay. How did you feel about your first 50?
I don't look at it.
Because you probably sucked, and I probably sucked. I had my first podcast. I did 45 episodes. Sunset the whole podcast. I mean, I rebranded, but doesn't matter. Like, I don't even remember how I operated as a host, but I now know that like I'm a superb guest and a superb listener in just real world. So like it's not even about the speaking. It's about like the skills and like the impact that you can have afterwards.
Mhm.
People have to stop being so selfish. And they're like, oh, I suck at speaking. Like, no, we all are changing each other's lives when we speak.
I love that. I'm going to use that one day. If somebody goes, "Oh, I suck at speaking," I'm like, "Well, you're just selfish." That is a complete different take on it, and it kind of shocks them a bit. So I love that. Awesome. Let's put you on the world stage, and you have a couple of minutes here to share with the world what message that you want to share for everybody to remember you for.
Oof, the shameless plug moment. Um, no, I think, people get overwhelmed with systems and software and they're just like not sure how to do it, and they let that scarcity or that uncertainty like really drive their behavior. And just fucking do it. Like if you know you want to build a business, then get in touch with someone who knows how to build a business. I mean, I haven't built a business from 0 to 100 million, but like I know a thing or two about like helping set up project management. Like you don't need to only speak to professionals because they're Alex Hormozy and have a billion followers on YouTube. you have everyone has so many professionals around them that they could get in touch with and start taking the next step. So whether it's me or you or whoever it is in their world, like just take the next step. It's so important.
Nicely done. Great words to live by. I got five rapid fire questions for you. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. All right. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life. You'll still be healthy, no consequence.
Acai bowl.
Wow, awesome stuff. Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, Ernesto, we love your story. We would love to do a biopic on you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Wow. LOL. Jason Segel. That's my guy.
Jason Segel shows up at your door and goes, "Hey, Ernesto, buddy, I got cast to play you. Let's hang out." And you go, "Hey, Jason, I got the whole night planned out. Let's
Oh
go."
man.
What does that night
We're,
look like?
we're reliving Pineapple Express.
That's your answer? Good? Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, keeping it fun, lighthearted.
Jason is getting hungry. And you go, "Hey, come back to my place. I'll fix you my special dish." What is your specialty?
My specialty is a home-baked challah bread, which is like a brioche styled bread stuffed with Kalamata olives and topped with herbs.
Awesome stuff. You're on a road trip, and for some reason or another, there's only one song that plays over and over and over again. What's that one song that you don't mind hearing? And would you sing a bar?
Oh my God. I will not sing a bar, but it is definitely Defying Gravity from Wicked.
Oh,
I'm like obsessed. Have you seen the movie yet?
not yet. It's on my list.
Oh my God, you got to watch it. It is definitely a metaphor for entrepreneurship. I can't sing that high, so I will
I was
refrain.
gonna. I want that last bar, but I'll let you pass. And last question before I get there, give me a number from one to five.
Ooh, four.
One, two, three, four. So the word is blue moon. So if you were to use a blue moon as a metaphor for success, how success like a blue moon?
Wow, a blue moon. I think of like Seth Godin's purple cow concept. Like everyone remembers a purple cow. Look at like, I don't know if you drink alcohol or people drink alcohol, listeners, but like the Blue Moon beer, they like make it with like orange. They like infuse orange peels into the mix, and it's a very distinguished taste. So I think when you think about your product or your service, like what is a sprinkle of Ernesto, or how do you put your own little personal spin on it to make it stand out like Blue Moon does or like a purple cow does?
Awesome stuff. So that's how success is like a blue moon. Thank you very much for your time, your stories, your tips. Any final words from you? And also, what's the best way for people to get your book or connect with you?
So people can go to my website and honestly, get your scorecard because I want to understand like what is your vision before I want to talk to you. I want to understand like, do you have a big vision? If not, I really want to talk to you. Like I want to help people who want to pursue a vision. Uh, so you could head to score.yourmdm.co and you'll grab your scorecard. And if you want to chat, we can chat.
Awesome. And final words?
Final words. The best time to plant a tree or build a system was 20 years ago. The next time is today.
Nice stuff. Thank you very much. Great words to live by once again. And for everybody out there, make sure you connect with Ernesto, get your scorecard card. And once again, he's Ernesto. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.